Well, well, well. Instagram and Facebook owner Meta have been ordered to pay £280 million for knowingly harming children. Isn't that interesting? And isn't it about time? Meta, the owner of Facebook, Instagram and WhatsApp, has been ordered to pay in dollars $375 million in damages after it was found to have knowingly harmed children's mental health. It was described by campaigners as a watershed moment. A court in New Mexico, USA, has found the company had concealed what it knew about child sexual exploitations on its social media platforms. The New Mexico case relied on an undercover investigation where agents created social media accounts posing as children to document sexual solicitations and Meta's response. Prosecutors claimed Meta prioritised profits over safety and violated parts of the state's Unfair Practices Act. I've said for years, phrase I've used about profit. Profit by all means, but not by any means. More than 40 state attorney generals in the US have filed lawsuits against Meta, claiming the company is contributing to a mental health crisis among young people by deliberately designing Instagram and Facebook features that are addictive. Of course they have. They're not alone, but they are addictive. You know, the endless scroll. People talk about dopamine and the hunt for it. And it's kind of not exactly the case. It's not quite what's going on. There is a reward. Dopamine, at least in part, is related to prompting, reminding, hey, something happened when you did that, so we want to make sure that this is front and foremost of your attention. When you wake up, when you glance at that device, get on it and keep on going on it. And that addiction, so apart from the exploitation and that horrible stuff, the addiction, the time that the children don't spend outdoors, the time that they don't spend interacting in person, the time that they spend worrying about a lot of damned nonsense, really, and this fear of missing out. And also, and I've talked about this before, the time on screen can also reduce, well, it can make it more difficult for them to pay attention in real life, not just children. And so attention spans appear to be shrinking. Social media isn't the only reason, but it has definitely got something to do with it. And that's not good. You know, people Google knowing something, or these days AI knowing something, instead of really thinking, contemplating, meditating, considering, reading, like an actual book. Anyway, Meta's house of cards is beginning to fall, said Sasha Hayworth, executive director of watchdog group the Tech Oversight Project. Good for you. The company has not agreed that social media addiction exists. Of course they haven't. The lawyers won't want to do that now, will they? But executives at the trial acknowledged problematic use and said they wanted people to feel good about the time they spent on Meta's platform. Notice the language, problematic use. Implicit, in my opinion, in there, and that's why they've used that language, is that it's the user. It's their problem. It's like, no, come on, you need to do better, user. Despite the fact that we've laid out all these traps, like sweets in a sweet shop, like the child catcher, and chitty chitty bang bang. Let's get you in. I mean, it is sickening, and even that language is just slippery and sly and fly and disgusting. Evidence shows that not only Meta invests in safety because it's the right thing to do, but because it is good for business. Meta's lawyer told jurors it is good for business. That's why you have those traps laid out in there. But it's very slick attempt at a defence. Let's not forget this. A user posted an old chat of Mark Zuckerberg's early days while working on the first iteration of the Facebook from his Harvard dorm, known as Face Smash. How apt. Bang, bang, bang. Back on the screen, back on the screen, back on the screen. The viral screenshot of the IM conversation was leaked a while ago. Zuckerberg bragged about acquiring over 4,000 emails, pictures, addresses and SNS. Responding to the anonymous, flabbergasted chatter on how did he manage to do that, Zuck, well named, said that they trust me, dumb f***. Let me let that sink in. The user appended his chat with a young Zuckerberg's image of him high on Red Bull, working on his Sony Vaio notebook with his headphones on, showing his digitus medius for the Shutterbug. You can guess what the digitus medius is. Reacting to the post, Elon Musk remarked, "Such a charmer." And he is, isn't he? Always has been. This is someone, a clown in essence, in charge of so much power. So much power in terms of information, in terms of the ability to focus people, the ability to change and shift a narrative. So this clown is, in my opinion, very low on empathy. Guess what that might mean. And very high in self-esteem. Self-esteem that isn't warranted. You can guess what that means as well. This is someone who, of course, has built some kind of Blofeld underground base on an island somewhere so he can escape the Great Adjustment when it comes. Practicing with his little bow and arrow and trying his jiu-jitsu moves with squirrels. This is like, who's the guy you wouldn't pick? Him. So I hope this goes all the way. They need to demolish it and they need to build it back again in an ethical and moral way, particularly as far as the children are concerned.